Richard Fontenay, and this is Speaking from the Heart. In this episode, listening to the divine within, I'm sharing a bit of my own story, a journey of a lifetime, and it's not over yet. It's a journey that reminds me of Leonard Cohen's song Anthem, with the poetic line that there is a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. Now, in the Christian gospel, Jesus said, "If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. I shall ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you forever. And that Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, since it neither sees nor knows him, but you know him, because he is with you and he is in you." In this passage, Jesus tells us that we have the Spirit within us. We refer to this Spirit as the advocate or the Holy Spirit, a Spirit that guides us in unexpected ways, a Spirit in which we have access to if we but listen and let the light in. Now, several years ago, I attended a conference where I had the pleasure of listening to Dom Lawrence Freeman. He was a Benedictine, and he spoke about meditation. Now, Don Lawrence is the director of the World Community for Christian Meditation, located in London, England. Now, at this conference, he traced a long Christian tradition of meditation, discussed its simplicity and how it transcends thought, and then engaged his audience in a meditative exercise of silence and stillness. He pointed out that meditation is practiced by all faith communities and by anyone, regardless of where they are in their life's journey. Today, we're experiencing a meditation renaissance, and that renaissance serves as an antidote to the stress and strain of modern day life, as well as the darkness that surrounds us. For many, it's a journey of spiritual awakening, both from a personal perspective and from a worldview perspective. Meditation becomes the crack that lets the light come in, and that light I'm calling the spirit within. After listening to Dom Lawrence, I reflected on my own meditative practice, which has followed three paths: reflection, reflective meditation, and contemplative meditation. Now, each path has its own merits. One path often leads to the other, depending on the circumstances. Maybe you have experienced them as well. I'm going to break them down now. In the process of reflection, I identify a problem or someone gives me an issue to resolve, and I say, let me meditate on this for a bit. And my mind is very active during this time, and I think through the problem or issue. I analyze, slice and dice, and draw conclusions, and then develop an action plan around the topic. My mind is preoccupied with thought content and alternative solutions, but it doesn't have a deep spiritual connection. However, we could view this as the creative process in action, where actually the light does shine in. Another method is reflective meditation. Now, during reflective meditation, my mind remains semi active. I think about an issue, a problem, or a decision, not necessarily in detail, but in its broad context, and let the scenario present itself within my mind's eye. Now, for instance, I take a passage from a spiritual reading and use it as a backdrop to reflective meditation. Now, This is like Lectio Divina, as practiced by the ancient desert fathers and mothers. And sometimes, and as well, I learned this in the seminary. Now, during reflective meditation, your mind is engaged and explores a topic of passage. But don't try to dissect or analyze it. Simply let the passage speak to you. Your mind will often wander, and sometimes you will dwell on thoughts that stray from the subject at hand. Let's call them what they are, distractions. Let your mind treat them as passing thoughts, and eventually you'll come back to your original passage or the presenting thought. The point here is that your reflection continues to engage your mind, but again, the light shines through your opaque window of the soul. It wasn't until I read a small book by Dr. Wayne Dyer, Getting in the Gap, that I discovered another approach to this type of meditation. He pointed out that it was the space between the words that mattered, and not the words themselves, or the activity one used to relieve the mental activity. It was the crack through which the light shone through. And if you wish to follow up with Dr. Dyer's gap method, I've listed the link below. Now, here's another method, mindless meditation. Now, this form of meditation transcends the mind. I have practiced this type of meditation for many years. I call this mindless meditation because I strive to empty the mind of all activity and enter into a state of silence and stillness. And for me, this is really hard to do. Mindless meditation breaks through the hassle and stress brought on by daily activities, leading to profound spiritual awakening. It transcends the mind and rationality and extends the state of human consciousness into a spiritual dimension where time and space have no meaning. In mindless meditation, we exist in the moment, in the now. And in that moment or now, all time is suspended. We are in a state that goes beyond consciousness and are gifted with the whisper of the divine, the Holy Spirit. And that Spirit speaks to us with love. In that state of transcendence, compassion, respectfulness, forgiveness are strengthened, giving us the courage to extend that positivity to others within our communities and throughout the world. Now, that transcendence extends beyond mindfulness, a concept we hear about frequently these days. To my mind, mindfulness enables us to live in the moment. For instance, by enjoying the beauty of a sunset or a sunrise, or the beauty of a flower. However, mindless meditation evolves into something much more profound. The spiritual light that Jesus discusses in the gospel teachings. However, I want to be careful here, as mindfulness also allows the light to shine in for a grace-filled moment. Now, my understanding is that mindless meditation is the same as spiritual contemplation. Spiritual contemplation is practiced in complete silence. And in those silent moments, we are embraced and touched by divine love. Richard Rohr, in his work at the Center of Contemplation and Action, explores this type of meditation and its connection to stillness, silence, and the divine within. Mindless meditation or spiritual contemplation can be challenging because our minds are always inclined to analyze, judge, and wander and think about something else. In essence, our ego gets in the way of egolessness and doesn't want to be quiet, still, and listen to our inner self, to the spirit within. Now, this type of meditation takes work and daily practice. And I'll discuss this further in our next episode when we explore how to listen to the spirit within. So, how does all of this apply to our daily life, work, and business? Well, reflection is necessary to draw conclusions about issues and problems related to the way we conduct our business and interact with customers, employees, and coworkers. We need time to think through possible alternatives, draw conclusions, and plan actions. It develops creativity and breakthrough thinking. And this is important work, even when it appears that we're doing nothing but sitting at our desks or staring out the window. Reflective meditation appears to have a dual effect. It reduces stress while allowing for thoughtful consideration of the situations presented in the readings. It opens the mind to new possibilities, behavioral change, and personal learning, and goes beyond regular reflective activity because it has a strong spiritual dimension. Contemplative uh, contemplative meditation, from a purely human perspective, slows down the anxiety and stress brought on by the sheer magnitude of the business world, giving room to breathe and recoup. From a spiritual perspective, it provides added strength to lead with our hearts and to act with love, compassion, forgiveness, patience, resilience, and self discipline. Now, I leave you with this. There's a place for all three methods, depending on what you require. The first way can help you develop breakthrough solutions to problems. The last two ways bring you closer to the light within. And if you listen deeply, the Spirit will guide you to change behaviors and extend yourself to others in a way you hadn't imagined possible. Next week, we'll continue exploring the divine within and talk about how to listen to the Spirit that speaks to us in ways we don't expect. I hope you can join us. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, like, and share it with someone you think can benefit from it. Also, let me know in the comments about your experience with the Spirit within. In the meantime, let's meet again next week and continue our conversation. And bye for now.